Back at WN Week and a business trip out to Carson, California for the Baltimore Ravens. I have seen many of my pundit friends that you hear here at WNST opine about all things Lamar versus Joe and running versus passing and RPO versus defenses. Eric Edholm is one of those guys that covers the game of football and the X's and O's at Pro Football Weekly. He's been one of my chemo-sobbies for a number of years. You can find him at Pro Football Weekly as well as on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. That's EDHOLM. He is much taller in person, and I see, is that the Japanese or Chinese that you have on your Twitter there? I'm not sure.
Geez, what are we talking about?
It's an Asian dialect of some kind on the front of your Twitter. I don't know what it is. Rude and unreasonable. Yes, there it is.
Really? I didn't even realize that. This is news to me, so I'll have to go check this.
I did not hack your Twitter at home. I swear to God I didn't. That was you tweeting about Lamar Jackson running the offense, right, the other day, right?
Yeah, that was. I didn't. If it was in a different language or dialect or something.
Look, there's 25,400 followers that are looking at the same thing I'm looking at right now. I'm just being honest.
All right, well, I'm going to have to dial into that and make sure nobody's hacked in and somebody from Russia pretending to be from Asia or something like that. Yeah,
it looks Mongolian to me. But I'm no expert in Mandarin in any way. Look, man, I'm no expert in football. Obviously, I thought I knew a lot until 6 weeks ago when they tell me they're going to play this Navy high school offense and they're going to run around and have a quarterback lead with his head 15 times a game. I don't know how sustainable this is, but I do know they've won a lot of football games, and I know it's hell on defenses for the other defense. I know the one thing that I never considered is how gentle it was going to be on your own defense that's aging and that can play pretty well 40 or 50 snaps a game, but once they're out there 80 or 90 snaps a game, they're a different defense, and I think we saw that in October when they were 4-5 at the bye. This has been the craziest Ravens season ever, Eric, and I've chronicled them all, man.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, a 4-2 start? Things are looking pretty promising. They have the heartbreaking loss to New Orleans. I guess that must have been right after that on the most unexpected way with a Tucker miss, and then things kind of spiral out of control, and you don't know if this team is just going to do what the Carolina Panthers are doing now, and it almost looked like that, but they make the switch. Credit to Marty Morningweg for kind of redesigning the offense around Lamar's skill set. I mean, it's a complete flip from what, I'm sure, we're using a Venmo diagram. There's some overlap there, but still, I mean, really turning this thing on its head and executing it well. And have there been some scary moments like you talked about, Lamar needing to avoid contact, him fumbling, things like that? Sure. But it's working. And it gives you a glimpse of what the future could be if things work out well and that he preserves himself well.
Eric Edholm is our guest, Pro Football Weekly. He has been opining about all of this. Is the weirdness in this that on any given week you'd say, well, the Chargers are stout against the run, and they're not stout against this because they ain't seen this. On a play-by-play basis, and I've been doing a lot of baseball work with Astroball and reading up on analytics, and I know that the new sheriff's in town for our baseball team here and how it relates to Eric DeCosta and what the Ravens have tried to do with analytics. But there has to be some analytics behind this that says in this offense, when we run the football 3 times, we stand a better chance of getting to the sticks than trying to throw it 3 times with Joe Flacco. And by and large, the down and distance is the reason. And that on first down, when second down is always 2nd and 2 and 3 and 4, it's just a different place to call offense from, I think.
I completely agree. I mean, 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3 are the best play calling opportunities for an NFL for any offensive coordinator, but really, that's where you have a defense completely naked, right? You have them totally undressed because what are you defending? Are you defending the deep ball? Are you defending the middle of the field? Are you defending the run? You can come in with heavy personnel and throw the ball, or you can come in with 4 wide and run it. And so, it just opens up all the possibilities, right? You're not kind of beholden. 3rd and 12, there's about 9 plays you can call, right? Everything is available. So that really makes it wonderful when you can gain those first down yards. And, yeah, I mean, this thing is so interesting to me. And to your point about the Chargers, too, and I'm not just using them as an example, but it applies to every team, I think defending a good running team with running backs doing the running, not your mobile quarterback, is completely different than defending a good running team that also has a good running quarterback. Because, normally defenses are essentially playing 11 on 10 because they're not expecting the quarterback in most cases to scramble or be a part of that run game. And with Lamar, it's less scrambling and more design runs too. So they're scheming up the blocking to cater to his skill set. It's different than what Josh Allen is doing up in Buffalo. Allen is dropping back, running in circles 3 or 4 times and making 9 yards. Lamar, they're pulling guards. They're moving tight ends out into space. They're blocking down and giving him a wall to work with. So, it's just so fascinating to see how they've really kind of parlayed things to help him out in that regard.
Not sustainable, dude, right? I mean,
yeah.
He's getting crushed, and that's not the way this game is played, and there's a reason no one else has dreamed this up to, rush into the playoffs for 5 or 6 weeks. This isn't a trend. This is a lifestyle, right? Like this, you're not going to coach that out of him. I don't believe.
I tend to think you're right. I asked a very prominent quarterback guru, former offensive coordinator, somebody who's in the league now, and this is a hypothetical. This was before the draft, and I was thinking about Lamar in some regards, but I was thinking about other, quarterbacks as the league starts to kind of, open its mind to other ideas and other possibilities and different types of talent at quarterback. I said, let's say you were really infatuated with a mobile quarterback and that his running prowess was a big part of why you liked him. How would you help him? How would you build your roster to make it sustainable? To the point you're talking about where, the guy's going to get hit and injured at some point. Lamar's kind of a leaner guy in some regards, especially lower body. He said, you'd probably have to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, which, the Ravens have done.
But and all 3 like him, too. It better be RG3 and not Joe Flacco or Matt Schaub as your backup, right?
I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. He said, you think about those old Nebraska teams in college or teams like that ran that type of offense, they were always 3 and 4 deep at that position. Those guys would get a couple of years of starting. They'd have to wait their turn, but they also knew that they had to be ready because one hit, one concussion, one ankle injury, one whatever, they were going to get called on. And so that's the kind of thinking that the Ravens have to, be ready for. And so maybe they get, they draft somebody this year even. I mean, that's a possibility where they say, okay, Joe's going wherever. We'll keep Griffin, and we'll also draft somebody maybe in the 5th, 6th, 7th round and see if we can kind of create him as a third quarterback and maybe do with him what they did with Lamar early in the season.
Or maybe what the Saints are doing, or maybe what the Steelers did with Cordell Stewart. Or, I mean, if that's the direction you're going to go in and you're going to say we're not going to have a $25 million quarterback, we're going to do this differently for a couple of years as an experimental thing. If the experimental thing is you're always in 2nd and 4, I don't know that people are going to want to pay to watch it or that it's going to be exciting, or I don't know what the hell you're going to do the week you fumble the ball twice, throw a pick, and you're losing 21-3 at halftime because then you have no way to bury out. And I guess that brings me to the next thing, Eric. I never believed when Joe Flacco hurt his hip that no matter how well Lamar played or even if he threw the ball well, that they would ever look at this and say, well, when Joe comes back, we won't let him ever touch the ball. We're just going to put the old Johnny U jacket on him and the helmet and watch the rain beat off it like we did the other day. I am now, with 2 games left and the season on the line, I don't know if they'll tap Joe Flacco on the shoulder if they're losing 28-17 with 6.5 minutes left to go in Carson on Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if they'll tap Joe Flacco on the shoulder and say, Joe, season's on the line. We're down a dozen points. Go lead one of your patented drives here. Go find Crabtree. Go find Snead. Go throw the ball over their head. Go try to find Smokey Brown. I don't know. I don't even know that this isn't going to be a Zach Britton moment and the season's not going to end, out there where Joe Flacco never takes his helmet and puts it on,
Yeah. I mean, I guess, the question would be if they somehow had, if they win that game and then you come back home against the Browns and somehow there's a scenario where, Joe gets a final call or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Do you even give him a send-off? Do you give, you know what I mean? Is that going to be even a possibility?
Well, he's only the best quarterback in the history of the franchise and the best quarterback we've had here in 50 years. But other than that, I mean, only Super Bowl MVP. It is amazing how quickly you get thrown out with the trash. You know what I mean? And every time I look at it,
so true.
I say to myself, I have a feeling this time next year, Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback of an 8-6 or a 9-5 or, you know, not a 2-12. You know, I think Joe Flacco is going to be a winning quarterback in this league with some team called Jacksonville or the Giants, or somebody's going to want him next year, and he's going to go win somewhere.
Yeah, the two teams that kind of pop into my head, you mentioned Jacksonville. That's got to be one of them. You can't tell me, and I'd have to go back and look at Giants-Ravens games of the past and that Joe's been involved in, and maybe with Tom Coughlin was there, and say, what did Coughlin think of him? Because I think the Jaguars are going to make changes. I don't know to what extent, but I do think Tom Coughlin is still going to be a part of that team, and I suspect he's going to still be the chief decision maker. I think that's a Coughlin kind of guy right there. I could see him saying, yeah, give me that. We'll do that, and we'll draft a guy and see if that player pans out. But right now, we need someone to come in and stabilize this thing. Flacco was on a team that was built around the defense, and he could sort of provide the big plays and, like you said, the clutch drives and all that stuff. That's the formula they want. So that is one team that makes sense. Another is the Redskins. I mean, wouldn't it be so Redskins? Obviously there's that sort of weird tension/rivalry between the Ravens and Redskins, I guess. I don't know that it, on what level.
Dude, you're trying to F up my Christmas, right? Flacco playing for the Redskins,
man,
right?
I'm telling you, though, but look.
When Marvin and I get together, we still talk about that thing he had with the ball coach down there. I didn't talk to Marvin for 2 years, man. That's how I felt about the Redskins, I know.
That's
dirty money down there, really.
It would be very Redskins-ish if they went that way and said, we're going to go take the Ravens quarterback. we're still within, that same area of the country. He's going to be on the news. You're going to hear about him, all that stuff. So, first of all, they need a quarterback, right? Alex Smith.
I'm just picturing him in that with those burgundy pants, and I'm like, come on, Joe, please.
I didn't mean to make your stomach turn.
You know who would really piss off is all of his neighbors up in Philadelphia, right? They wouldn't like that at all.
I can't imagine that very much. No, yeah. So I would think those are the two teams that I have to look and see if they even play each other next year. That might factor in, but.
No, the Ravens don't play the Redskins next year. We have the NFC West. We play the Rams and the Seahawks. We play all those teams next year. Yeah.
Yep. But
I'm nerding out because I'm going to the StubHub Center this week, and next year I get to go to the LA Coliseum. I watched the game at the Coliseum there, then I'm like, man, they're only going to play like one more year there. So I did the math. We play there next year, so I'm trying to get as many stadiums in as I can.
Well, me too, and I knocked out both of those stadiums this year out in week 4. When the schedules were released, I said to myself, I want to do a West Coast trip this year. I want to be able to see both those stadiums. Is there a week where it works out? And yes, they had the Rams-Vikings game in week 4 on Thursday at the Coliseum, and then the Sunday game, Chargers 49ers at the StubHub. And what a difference. So you're going to, it's so crazy to go from this massive bowl that it feels like a college stadium to going to what felt like Fresno State at San Jose State. I mean, it's a beautiful little stadium. It's a little jewel box or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is the most shocking experience, though, having been used to going to all these massive places, to go in this sort of cozy little quaint stadium that, sort of out in the Tony little suburbs and stuff. I don't know. It's just a different experience than I've had in an NFL game in a long time.
Well, I'll be having that one on Saturday night. Eric Edholm is here. He is Eric_Edholm, Edholm. He, of course, is at Pro Football Weekly. He has been opining about all things Lamar and Joe and Ravens and Chargers. Oh, my. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Charles Nisanoff & Sons. Since 1923, true love comes in all shapes and sizes, and there's something for everyone's budget. Get there It's holidays, last-minute shopping. Sydney's there for you. See him in Parkville or charlesnewsonoff.com, right off the Beltway at 695 and Paring Parkway, where they say, let's grow old together. Also, my pal Lee Tessier selling my condo and can be selling your home as well into 2019. Over 50 years of experience helping local buyers and sellers just like you and me get it done. It's the Lee Tessier team. Learn more at leetessier.com. Also, Royal Farms are real fresh, real fast. I took my Royal Farms coffee mug to the game on Sunday along with Luca. It was a victory mug, so I must say, make sure you're downloading the app when you're pumping the gas. You'll get your Western fries and your chicken free of charge. I think it makes it taste better is when it's free. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast. Eric Edholm is our guest from Pro Football Weekly. You can find him at Eric_EDHOLM. Oh, so let's go around the league for a minute and just talk about possibilities here. First things first, should I keep my first weekend of January free, Eric Amir? For the Ravens to be playing in the first week of January, you have to have some confidence that they're going to go out to what I'm calling San Diego, because I'm staying in San Diego this week because that's just the way I roll. And I'm driving up for the game because I miss San Diego. My family lives there and it's the holidays. But, I think they can win this week, and I'm not making plans the first week of January. But the way this wild card thing is broken down and where the Titans and the Colts have come from and, how the Patriots and the Steelers have sort of fallen behind. Even the Chiefs have stumbled. The Rams have stumbled. It's a wild finish here over the next 2 weeks. It really is. It's good for the league, I think. It's good for the fans.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, obviously it's got, the Steelers winning Sunday was big for their chance, and that kind of changed things quite a bit. All of a sudden now the Patriots look a little reeling, but you had the Colts winning that big a game against Dallas, Titans doing what they needed to do. Obviously Dolphins and Browns kind of way on the outside looking in, but still have that sort of remote chance. But, there's really kind of more intrigue on that side, even with, the Eagles beating the Rams and Josh Johnson winning a football game. But there's really more intrigue on the AFC side right now in terms of positioning and how those last couple spots will work in. And we still have the AFC North up for grabs. So I feel pretty confident that there's a real good chance the Ravens are going to be, it'll fall right for them. And obviously winning Saturday would be, that would be the icing on the cake. I think that would pretty much put them in a great spot. But, even without that, I think they have a path to get in. So, yeah, I feel okay about you not making plans and feeling relatively confident that they have a good shot at a playoff game. And you know what? The two teams in that 3 and 4 slot, I don't think are going to be rolling into the playoffs with a ton of confidence. So the Ravens even have a chance to win a football game here and make things very interesting, and then we'll find out about the future of John Harbaugh and whether he's still going to be the Ravens coach. That's another underlying oddity that sort of exists with this whole story.
Well, it's tied to everything too, right? I mean, for Green Bay, what Marvin's going to happen in Cincinnati, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of movement, I think, at the bottom of this thing as well. And I'm interested to see whether the Cowboys are going to move, after all these years if things don't go right there. You mentioned Jacksonville. There are going to be some jobs opening up here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and sort of an unusual one. I mean, it's not completely unheard of, but Steve Wilkes in Arizona could be a one-year thing. We've got Vance Joseph in Denver playing his way out of a job there.
Jets.
Jets. I mean, yeah, this is, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I didn't think there was going to be a ton of jobs open. All of a sudden now, all these possibilities we just mentioned, things have gotten kind of progressively worse in a few cases. Things have kind of solidified in a few others. I don't think Jason Garrett will lose his job in Dallas, but you can't rule it out. So, yeah, the possibilities all of a sudden are pretty deep here. And there will be some musical chairs, like you were I think what you were hinting at, which is you could have, McCarthy go to Cleveland. You could have, heck, they're even talking about Tomlin being on the hot seat in Pittsburgh. But you could have maybe Ron Rivera being in some heat in Carolina. I mean, it really is shocking to see how many permutations there could be. Harbaugh has been mentioned as a trade candidate, that there's enough interest in him that the Ravens might actually get compensation for him. So
Well, remember
that's
3 years ago,
fascinating
Peyton was gone in New Orleans, right? Like, that was just not going to happen. Remember Chuck Pagano was gone in Indianapolis? Remember this time, last year, Indianapolis was holding
Marvin.
out for McDaniels, right? And that didn't happen. I mean, even after the Super Bowl, Frank Reich found himself a job and has done a great job there when nobody believed he was getting that job. So even 5 minutes before these jobs happen, you don't know. But I would think 5 to 7 jobs are going to be appearing. And, Black Monday is now, we're 10 days out on that, literally. Right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's always the possibility of weirdness in Cleveland with Marvin. I mean, in Cincinnati with Marvin, where, remember last year, there was a report from Adam Schefter, who's got a pretty high batting average on these things, saying that he's going to slide into a front office role. And then all of a sudden, a day later, well, hold on now. And now that seems a little bit more likely, but you never know, right? I mean, he and Mike Brown have a great relationship. They've worked things through in the past. They've had their disagreements. They've found a solution. That could be another opening right there, but it could be one that's sort of predetermined where he knows who he wants to replace him. So,
hey, you know what job might be open? Might be the job in Foxborough. Right. At some point, right? At some point that's going to happen, right?
Right. I think it's at least worth sort of thinking about. The thing about the McDaniels move last year when he reneges on the Colts, stays in Foxborough, everybody says, okay, well, now we know what's happening. He's going to be Bill's replacement. Bill's going to walk away. The interesting thing that I've sort of found out since then, or at least I kind of pieced together some information, it sounded like Robert Kraft was not sure if Belichick was going to coach this season. And so the feeling was, we can't let McDaniels go because we want him coaching Tom Brady this year. If Belichick decides to walk, that could happen. So we got to get McDaniels for this season. However, I've now been told that in no way, shape, or form has McDaniels been guaranteed to be Bill's replacement. So this was merely kind of a one-year backup plan. Obviously they loved having him, but
I remember when Bill was going to be Parcells' replacement, remember?
Right. It's so crazy how this thing has kind of come, it's like life imitating art here almost. It's really weird. So
somewhere there's a Jets fan that thinks if Bill just would have taken the job, it would have been all ours, right?
Crazy. I know. And the thing that's weird is that McDaniels might end up going somewhere else this offseason, Green Bay or wherever else. So right now my head's spinning and trying to get the correct information on this stuff, and who knows who Bill's replacement will be eventually.
And in the meantime, we'll just be hating on the Steelers at 4 o'clock on Sunday if the Ravens win on Saturday night. Eric, always a pleasure to visit with you. Tell everybody what Pro Football Weekly does, because I know what it used to do. I know in the modern era it's different, but Pro Football Weekly is, a brand I go back with my dad, ordering back in the 80s,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we've kind of rebranded a little bit here, and while I was at Yahoo Sports, they started back up, they got the rights to the name back and everything else, and it's been a totally different approach. I mean, obviously, we're still covering the league. We've got a little bit more Bears focused here in some regards, but you're still going to find quality stuff. We're gearing up on our draft stuff right now. We're going to do some work here on the coaching candidates, some of the younger guys who may not be as well known to fans, some of the names you're going to hear more of, and the Dan Campbells of the world, and all those different college coaches who are into consideration and things like that. And I think I think fans will be very excited to see some of the stuff we're doing. We're doing some tape study things that I don't think we ever did back in the day. A lot of fun things on the website right now, and I hope people check out ProFootballWeekly.com.
Man, there's a ton of stuff up here. I'm checking it out as well. Hey, man, stay warm out there in the Chicagoland area. We're a couple weeks out on you and me figuring out Peachtree Street together in Atlanta, so looking forward to that. We'll stay in touch here through the playoffs and hope that the Ravens make a little bit of a run here. Always great to be following you, and always great to have you on the program, Eric. Thanks, man.
All right, Nestor, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, dude.
Eric Edholm joins us here, and you can find him out at Pro Football Weekly as well as at Eric_Edholm. That's EDHOLM, writing about the game we love. Doing some baseball around here and some residue on the Brandon Hyde hiring as well. Lucas on the backfields in Owings Mills. I am talking to just about everybody in Southern California out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.